Hello and welcome to another video with dee'stuition. Today's video is from my Romeo and Juliet series, 5 key quotes for, and today's video is 5 key quotes for Prince Escalus. Let's get into it. Now, the first quotation for Prince Escalus comes from Act 1, Scene 1, which is the first time that we see him in the play. A really, really important scene and moment. It really kind of solidifies who his character is. And actually, interestingly enough, we only see Prince Escalus 3 times in the whole play. And every time that he comes, it's definitely to kind of deliver his decree and really kind of show his power as well as his humanity. So this first quotation is, "Throw your mistempered weapons to the ground and hear the sentence of your moved prince. 3 civil brawls bred of an airy word by thee, old Capulet and Montague." There's so many methods in this quotation, but firstly, you've got the command at the very beginning, "Throw your mistempered weapons to the ground and hear the sentence of your moved prince." So he tells them exactly what to do, and it really justifies and highlights what respect he holds in Verona, and the fact that no matter how um, outwardly rebellious these people are, when he comes into the scene, all of that changes. He addresses them directly. He uses direct address, for instance, your, and he lets them know that he is speaking to them specifically. So that's really, really important. He wants everybody to know that they're all part of this conversation and that he is annoyed and disappointed with everybody that has been in this brawl. He also uses the adjective airy, and that serves a purpose really where Shakespeare is trying to show how ridiculous this feud is between the Capulets and the Montagues. Where it says it's bred of an airy word, it shows that it's just words that really mean nothing, nothing of substance, that have caused these civil outbreaks of violence and bloodshed. And then where he uses the adjectives old for both Capulet and Montague, he's mentioning the age of these men because I think he's really trying to show there that they should know better and that they should be setting an example, and that unlike some of these young people that are within the violence, these 2 men have very little excuse because they should have age and wisdom on their side just as he does. The second quotation comes from Act 3, Scene 1, and this is a really unfortunate scene because this is a scene where he has to come back into the play because, of course, Tybalt has killed Mercutio, and as a result, Romeo has killed Tybalt, and it's left to Benvolio to explain exactly what's happened. So the prince says, "Romeo slew him, he slew Mercutio, who now the price of his dear blood doth owe." And you've got a pause there with the use of the semicolon. Romeo slew him, he slew Mercutio, and he's really trying to consider this whole situation. And that really shows what a fair prince he is, because he's not just taking the situation at face value. He's not just thinking, well, Romeo killed Tybalt, let's just punish him, but he's really trying to analyze the whole situation. And it again shows just how respected he is within the society, as well as how intelligent he is. He uses a rhetorical question, "Who now the price of his dear blood doth owe?" Because he's trying to really highlight to them that in this situation, nobody wins. And he's also trying to highlight to them just how difficult of a position their actions have put him in. Because unfortunately, he's not actually sure who he should blame because there are so many parties that are at fault at this point. The next quotation comes from the very same scene, and as I said, we only see the prince 3 times. And the prince says, "I have an interest in your heart's proceeding. My blood for your rude brawls doth lie a bleeding." And this is really important. He uses those personal pronouns I and my, and he really wants to show, especially to the Capulets and the Montagues, that he is being personally affected by their violence and by their feud. He talks about the fact that he's suffering for their mistakes. He says, "My blood for your rude brawls doth lie a bleeding." And what he means there, or who's referring to, is Mercutio, because Mercutio is kinsman or a relative to the prince. So what he's letting them know is that as a result of something that's absolutely nothing to do with him, he's still being punished. and he is losing people that he cares about. And he's trying to help them to understand that this feud that these two families has kept on for generations is affecting everybody in Verona, including himself. The fourth quotation is from Act 5, Scene 3, and of course, this is a really key scene because this is the scene where Romeo and Juliet have now died, and it's up to him to really try and teach them something from this and also decide what will be the way forward for the families. So the prince says, Capulet, Montague, see what a scourge is laid upon your hate, that heaven finds means to kill your joys with love, and I, for winking at your discords too, have lost a brace of kinsmen, all are punished. So he uses the noun scourge. So where he says, see what a scourge is laid upon your hate. Now, scourge means curse, and what he's basically trying to say is as a result of how much they hate each other, they've now been cursed, and that curse has led to them losing their children. He uses a juxtaposition between heaven and hell and love and hate, and he really tries to show that they could have all lived in a heaven. Everybody could have been happy, everybody could have been getting what they wanted, including Romeo and Juliet. But instead, because of the hate, it has now led to a hellish situation where everybody has lost out, everybody is grieving, people have lost their lives, people have lost their children, people have lost their kinsmen, and nobody has actually won. Where he says, and I, for winking at your discords too, he uses that verb winking to suggest that he realizes that he hasn't punished them enough. At the very beginning of the play, he said if anything happened more, people would pay for the forfeit with their lives. And then he didn't do that. He didn't carry out that threat when Romeo killed Tybalt. If he did, of course, then none of this would ever happen. So he sort of blames himself there and he realizes that he's also had a part to play in everything that's happened. And he uses that short sentence at the very end where he says, all are punished. And that drives the message home to everybody that as a result of the actions of the Montagues and the Capulets, and particularly the elders within the families, that everybody has been punished in one way or another. And the final quotation for the prince is again from Act 5, Scene 3, where he says, a glooming peace this morning with it brings. The sun for sorrow will not show his head. Go hence to have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned and some punished. And he uses pathetic fallacy here to talk and personification to talk about the sun for sorrow will not show his head. He says that there's so much sorrow and destruction that's happened in Verona that the sun, which of course has connotations with happiness and hope and a new day, will not show itself because there is no happiness, there is no hope. And as a result of the violence and the feuding, there is no new day. He tells them to go hence to have more talk of these sad things. He wants them to learn something from this. He wants them to discuss it and he wants them to get to a place where nothing like this will ever happen again. And then he finishes off this quote with, some shall be pardoned and some punished. And using those verbs, pardon and punished, just shows that some people will leave this situation with more trauma than others. And again, that serves as a warning to the community of Verona that when violence is involved, when feuds are involved, where people do not want to talk and instead they want to kill each other, that some people will always suffer more than others. But essentially, no matter what way you look at it, everybody suffers in some way. And his tone here, it's really solemn and it really represents how regretful he is that he's had anything to do with the events that have culminated in the death of two young people. So that's 5 quotations for Prince Escalus, 5 quotations that should get you through any exam question. Please go back and listen to the video again, take notes, learn these quotations, link them to the other quotations from the other videos in the Romeo and Juliet series as much as you can so that you're in a really, really good position to answer any exam question that comes your way. As ever, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe the videos. I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.